I too heard from the media on Friday morning about the electrical issues, and you know, haven't read your proposal yet, but whenever you buy property or buildings or assets, the usual customary, if you're using your own money, is you will generally hire a building inspector or HVAC inspector or an electrical inspector that knows the code and knows the requirement, and they go look at that. That's when it's your own money. I guess when it's other people's money, you forego that and you just push it through. In terms of covers only, is that all it is covers? I mean, you said our electric department went up there, Parks and Rec. Who else?
Electric, Parks and Rec. I believe Pat Keenan may have been up there too.
So did our electric department have any insight into this? Other than, did they say it was just covers?
No, I think they think, I didn't speak directly to them. I think they think it's more than that, but until a electrician gets in there and actually starts working on it, I don't know. They said they did test some of the wires that were bare and they were not energized. But what came down from Pat Keenan was that they would prefer that somebody other than the electric department work on it. I mean, they've got a lot of other things to do, and this is not typically the type of work they do.
So would that building be able to be opened if it was summer today for the public to go and buy a nothing burger to eat for lunch up there?
That I couldn't conjecture.
Would it pass code?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not in code enforcement.
So we're going to have somebody from an electrical code inspector look at this building to make sure that it's safe to open. And
after the work's done, it should be inspected by an electrical inspector. Yes.
Wouldn't it make sense to inspect it before to know what work has to be done, so that if it's not completed,
we are not doing it.
It's our building, isn't it?
Yes.
So to answer the concern of delay.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be wise to have an electrical inspector, before somebody goes and does work, inspect and identify the issues and the problems, so that then whoever is fixing the issues and problems is correcting it all, versus they go and they say, well, I've fixed everything, and then the electrical inspector comes along and says, no, you didn't. Mm-hmm. You missed these issues, and then it gets delayed further, and then the nothing burger can't be cooked.
But isn't Mr. Lundy doing this?
Excuse me.
Well, I just want to correct you on that.
My question is it's our building.
Yes.
And are we having an electrical inspector look and identify the issues before they're fixed? And if we're not, shouldn't we? So it doesn't get delayed further, to make sure that if Mr. Lundy is fixing the issues, he's fixing all the issues up front in a timely manner. Wouldn't that be more prudent? I mean, the most prudent thing would have been months ago when I proposed a resolution for appraisals and inspections for the council to pass that. That would have been the most prudent. Or like any real estate deal, having an inspection of the assets and the equipment, that would have been the most prudent use of taxpayers. But the majority didn't want to do that.
The resolution did not include inspections, appraisal only.
I don't interrupt you. I think you should.
You need to be corrected.
I think you should give the same diligence. Would any real estate agent do a closing without...
Mr. PA, come on.
Would any real estate agent
do we really want to go to your business? I mean,
would a real estate agent...
You want to disparage people? You want to disparage me?
I'm asking, is that the standard?
Should I start disparaging you and your career? Would you like that?
When it's your privilege of the floor, if you want to go at it. Is it the standard in terms of closing to not get these inspections? I mean, to me, we bought a building, and that was the standard. You had a building inspection, electrical inspection, HVAC inspection. So I guess my question is, we're spending public dollars. We want to make sure this goes ahead in a timely manner so that we can book tournaments and the RFP, somebody can come in and cook. Shouldn't we identify the issues that have to be fixed up front so that they're fixed, versus, quote, they're fixed, then we get an inspector to come in and say, well, they're not all fixed. Then it's further delay. Shouldn't we identify those issues first?
We could do that, yes.
Would that be something that would recommend it, or should we have somebody go in and fix it that doesn't maybe know all the issues? Who's not an electrical inspector, maybe Mr. Lundy is, I don't know. If he is an electrical inspector, I apologize, I didn't know that he had those credentials, but if that's the issue, shouldn't we have an inspection so those issues can be identified and corrected up front before there's any further delay?
Well, there is no delay at this point. Mr. Lundy is supposed to get everything that's already was identified in the closing done by April 1st.
But electrical issues were not identified.
Electrical issues were not on it. He did indicate he would take care of that.
So I guess before we move on to other issues, I just want to make sure is, wouldn't it, I mean, somebody's out there we put an RFP out for somebody to come in and do beverage and food sales. I'm assuming they want to use the commercial kitchen.
Probably.
And that would have to be to a code. And don't we want to make sure that the electrical issues and the building is the code so that they can use those, versus as we get close to golf season, somebody unable to do that if we find out in May that they're not the code and the work won't be done, and then we're at a concern or an issue of we can't open it. Shouldn't that be, I think that should have been done months ago, but that's me. But we're at this juncture, yes, and this is the hand we're dealt. Is that something we should do? Would that be a recommendation? If it is, then the next question would be, is council willing to hire an electrical inspector or inspectors for that building, for whatever it's going to be used, to go and look at it and identify the issues so that it can be publicly used? And if it's a recommendation of staff, then I would ask for a resolution for that. If it's not a recommendation, then fine. We'll just go as we go, and before it opens, when the inspection time comes up, if it doesn't pass, then it doesn't get opened and used. I'm just...
Can I offer a solution? So...
Trying to identify.
No, but wouldn't it make sense, since Mr. Lundy said he's going to take care of it, have him take care of it, have him pay for the inspection?
I guess my point, though, is before you start doing work, wouldn't you identify the issues that need to be fixed so that those issues can be fixed and fixed according to code?
No. I'm not an electrician.
Neither am I. That's why I'm asking.
I'm not a home inspector.
What I think might be helpful if somebody understood what the process is before they start making recommendations, Mayor. And number one, I would look at the problem that's in front of me. If I see a wire that's bare,
it's not your time,
you want to know
Councilman.
what? I would be
It's not your time,
volunteer my
Councilman.
time to go up as an electrician, as I've done it.
Councilman,
What, am I
you
out of
had
order
your
because you
time
don't like my
during
solution?
privilege of the floor.
I'm telling
You
you
had
that
your
I'll
ti-
go up there and wire the
You-
place, no
you had
problem.
your time.
Patrick, you want to join me?
I don't even think you're
I've done
licensed
3
to do
houses.
it.
I am qualified.
No, we're qualified for
Okay.
everything, I know.
You may not be, but I am. Do you know what a junction box is, Mayor?
I do know what a
Honestly?
junction box is.
Well, say, okay.
So,
Anyway,
my
think
question
it's funny.
is, before I was interrupted, is shouldn't we have, I know you can't, shouldn't we hire somebody, and if Mr. Lundy's paying for it, get an electrical inspector, charge Mr. Lundy for that electrical inspector, or whatever inspections we need done, identify those problems so they can be fixed? I mean, that's what an inspection before you bought the property we should have done, but,
Yeah.
and the asset, isn't that what we should do, Mr. Delaney?
My recommendation would be a third-party inspector under the supervision of city staff, engineering and codes, with a third-party inspector to evaluate it so that the council would have non-bias, however you want to state it, evaluation of the condition. That would be my recommendation. Again,
So-
I don't make the I don't make the call. I'm just saying that if I was making that decision, I would have a third-party inspector come in, evaluate it under the supervision of city staff, presented to the council
So
and Mr. Mix.
could we get a resolution for the next meeting for that to be done? And whoever staff picks out for those inspectors, they obviously have to be credentialed. Staff can, I don't know who an electrical, plumbing, building, I don't know who those credentialed people are. I mean, I know, I guess if I think of who we use, they were credentialed and licensed, but who? Well, it's gotta be so that it can be open for public use. So it's gotta meet whatever code required to have a commercial kitchen and people in the building and using the bathrooms in the building.
And this is all in the basement, correct?
Yeah.
Which the public doesn't have access to.
No, but it's got to be safe for the entire building. You don't want electrical fires or anything.
I would like to add to that, though, is if you could have a conversation with Mr. Lundy and see if he's willing to pay for this expense.
I thought before we said he was paying for it and we withheld money for it. So concerned we didn't withhold enough?
Yeah, both.
Okay. In terms of, in terms of the, I believe there's several items that the money was withheld. This was not one of the initial, but if you could go down that list of items